good evening. Welcome to this edition of the News from Beyond here at the FBC. This is Neil Andrews. We have a very special guest tonight. Mind you, you may argue that all my guests are very special. Well, some commentators claim that our guest today is the best known historical character after Jesus Christ. Good evening, Mr. COVID-19, and thank you for joining us here. Mr. COVID, your public life has been marred by controversy. The other day, in a rival news channel, you even stated, and I quote, "I am not a virus." Can you explain that? I am not one virus, but as many as bodies and cells I inhabit. Well, I can see you are resorting to visual poetry. Don't you think that after all the chaos and terrible death toll you have inflicted on us, the public is not in the mood for your poetry? You assume I cannot think nor feel for me and you. I'm not making any assumptions, Mr. COVID. You are the one who has chosen poetry here, not me. Don't you feel, let's talk about what matters, don't you feel sorry about all this? If you have any feelings, you must feel pretty low at the moment. My sorrow is constant, like the song of the sailor who lost the compass and relies on fate to reach another island, hopping through, breaking in. Well, another question without proper answer. We're giving you the opportunity here, Mr. COVID, to come clean on the accusations that you are pretty terrible and soulless, so I wouldn't waste that opportunity. I need to ask you a very important question, a yes or no question. I'm here wearing all sort of protective equipment, etc. Would you try to send me a jab-resistant variant and basically try to kill me if I wasn't so protected? I do not want to kill you, honestly, but sometimes things go wrong. Okay, I accept that as a sign of goodwill, Mr. COVID, but I'm not taking off the mask in this studio until the end of the interview. We have some questions from our listeners, through Twitter, actually. And this is Amanda from Devon. Let's see what Amanda has to say. I think your channel is disgusting. By giving a platform to a remorseless criminal, you are putting this virus at the same level as the victims. You can't talk to terrorists. Well, Mr. COVID, I think you want to say something about this, don't you? We are damaged goods, looking at each other in the eye, like in a duel, just separated by your protective glasses and mask. Well, never mind. Let's see, for the sake of balance, we're going to ask you a more friendly question from another person in our audience through Twitter as well. This is from Mike in Leeds. Vaccines are closing down on you. Do you think it is time to call a ceasefire and accept a dialogue with the authorities? That way, you may be able to avoid an embarrassing defeat. Nature against nature. It will always be a draw. Mr. COVID, excuse me. Please don't leave the studio. This is not a good end to this interview. Mr. COVID. Well, I think we have to leave it there. And now, in this space within our program, sponsored by the UK government, we will have a conversation with Sir Adolf Farage, the spiritual leader and healer of the English Church of Brexit, who is joining us today from the Cayman Islands. Sir Farage, how are you? Enjoying the weather?